Good evening and welcome to Candidates Night for the candidates running for office in Greenfield's November 4th election next Tuesday. I'm Marie Gauthier from the League of Women Voters of Franklin County. The League and the Precinct 7 Neighbors Network are hosting this event in cooperation with GCTV, who is some of the volunteers from P7 are recording this, thankfully. So whoever's not able to be here tonight, this recording will be available hopefully within the next day or two. So keep an eye on GCTV's website for that. GCTV and the League and P7 are all nonpartisan organizations that encourage informed, active participation of the voters. No League members involved in this forum, including the moderator and timekeepers, are endorsing any of these candidates. Tonight's forum will be held in two parts. In this first part, candidates for assessor, city council, and school committee, the 2-year term, will each give 3-minute statements. After a short break, we'll then follow with the school committee candidates for the 4-year term forum. So let us begin, and we'll start with the city council. The Greenfield City Council acts as the main lawmaking body for the city. The members of the City Council are elected by voters of Greenfield biannually. The terms of office are 4 years, and there are 9 precinct councilors elected by their respective precincts and 4 at-large councilors elected by the entire Greenfield electorate. We will begin with 3-minute statements, and we're going alphabetically. Sorry for folks who are tired of being at the end of the line, but we'll begin with Sarah Brown. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I didn't know I was going to be going first. My name is Sarah Brown. I'm running as an incumbent city councilor at large for one of the 2 open seats, along with Maisie Sibison Alves. I was appointed to the council last October to fill Penny Ricketts' seat. This past year has been an incredible learning experience, and I've met so many wonderful people. I'd be honored to continue serving the community. I enjoy being part of local politics because I can make a tangible difference in the quality of residents' lives and to meet their needs. I believe in the power of continuous learning and building coalitions to get things done and make a government that truly works for all. This past year, I served on Ways and Means and the Community Relations subcommittees. I studied the city budget and met the hardworking staff that keep the city running. I understand that the city budget is a reflection of the values that we hold as a community, and I'm hopeful to work towards a more transparent and participatory process. In particular, I'm passionate about housing as the foundation of our community. I was appointed as chair of the newly created Unhoused Community Ad Hoc Committee, guided by the belief that housing is a human right. Members with lived and living experience of homelessness serve on the committee, and we are working on multiple solutions for better access to public resources and more dignified campsites through the lens of addressing public health and environmental concerns. I also serve on the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee to work towards implementing Greenfield's Sustainable Master Plan. I'm committed to keeping up on the latest research and consulting with experts on these topics and those impacted by the issues. I am participating in the Citizens Academy as a way to better understand how the city operates and to build relationships. I've also been networking with peers through the Mass Municipal Association and reaching out to councilors around the valley and across the state for best practices to guide Greenfield into the future. I'm committed to working well across differences and navigating conflict with respect, honesty, and staying focused on the issues. This past year has felt like a boot camp in a good way, and I feel that I need 4 more years to work on implementing the ideas I've been hearing from constituents. If I'm elected to represent Greenfield, I aim to work on a rental registry to ensure quality housing for renters, an affordable housing trust, and a short-term rental ordinance to tax Airbnbs. I would also like to work on municipal compost drop-offs and a safer pedestrian and bike transit. I value our Greenfield public schools, and I want to prioritize education as an investment in our community. I'd be happy to listen to your priorities and support the projects that you care about as well. I'm committed to being accessible. Please feel free to contact me via my email and my phone number on the city website. And thank you all for your patience, listening and showing up tonight and participating in our local democracy, and hope to see you at the polls on November 4th. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we will have Sarah Baldock.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Baldock, and I am running to represent Precinct 7. And I just want to take the time to thank everybody here for all the work that the league has done and that Precinct 7 has done, and that all of you guys are doing by showing up and participating. In 1982, a local historian wrote that Greenfield was becoming harder for any one person to understand, and that our identity was shifting, and that people were afraid that the town was losing its direction. 40 years later, I think that still rings true. Greenfield has always been at a crossroads, physically, on the maps, and as a society. We're urban and rural, we're working class, we're rooted in history, and we look forward towards the future. And that's a mix that makes this place powerful, I think. But it also means that we don't always agree on what Greenfield should become. The factories that once shaped our identity are long gone. We can't rebuild that past, and we shouldn't pretend anymore that we can. So we're left with the real question: what kind of community do we want to be now? And I don't think the rhetoric or nostalgia is going to have our answer. I think it's found in listening. I think it's found in data, collaboration, and in real results. The challenges that we're facing are housing becoming harder to secure, food insecurity that's touching more and more families every year, and frankly, political division that's making it harder to solve the problems that we all share. But I believe in Greenfield. I believe in us. I believe in you. And I think the way forward is local, that it's practical, and that it's collaborative, and that we're going to build programs that work, and we're going to fix the ones that don't. We're going to show up, we listen, and we're doing the work even when it's slow and kind of boring. And that's really what I'm offering for Precinct 7 and for Greenfield as a whole. I'm going to show up, I'm going to knock on doors, I'm going to invite discussion, and I'm going to keep pushing for the systems that help people, not just in theory, but every day. This is more than a campaign to me. I am a local historian, I love Greenfield, and I love it with the same patience and care that you would give to tending an old house. And I think it's preserving what's sound, repairing what's worn, and making sure that we can support the lives that we've built here inside of the city. And I would frankly be honored to do that with all of you for Greenfield and Precinct 7. And I just thank you all for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. Next, we have Max Webb.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here to speak with you all today. My name is Max Webb, and I'm running to represent Precinct 9 on Greenfield City Council. I have learned what makes Greenfield an amazing place to live by meeting, talking with, and listening to my neighbors, and by putting down my own roots here. Like you, I love the small town feel of Greenfield and having a connection to my neighbors. Like you, I want kids to grow up here to be safe, happy, and well-educated. And like you, I see that the city is the amazing place it is because of the investment and involvement of its residents. As a community, Greenfield cannot escape the challenges impacting Franklin County, the state, and the nation. As a renter and as someone managing a small independent business as a landscaper, in addition to part-time jobs, I empathize with the difficulties of declining economic opportunity, as well as the stress of living with a carefully cut budget for professional and personal needs. I have listened to your stories of rising costs of living and frustration with the management of our city budget. As a city councilor, I'm committed to centering these concerns and making sure our local government works for our local community. I care about the stability and sustainability of Greenfield, and I take the responsibility of representing Precinct 9 seriously. I will advocate for decisions that invest in quality education, such as valley-wide coalition building, so we can get the Chapter 70 funding that our schools need and deserve. I will support housing availability by voting no on this year's ballot question, and by welcoming new and creative solutions to housing that keeps our small town feel and addresses the need to build for future climate resiliency. And I will prioritize expanding our tax base and population to attract new small businesses to our downtown. In preparation for this potential role, I am participating in the Citizens Academy put on by the city to learn the ins and outs of our municipality and build rapport with the city officials. As a community member, I founded the Greenfield Trash Pickup Club and have since partnered with the Connecticut River Conservancy, Department of Public Works, Mass Audubon, and the Greenfield Business Association to create sustainable solutions to trash management downtown, municipal composting and rat problems, and waste removal at our poorly allocated unhoused encampment sites. I have spoken in support of our schools and students and asked our current city council to allocate the funding needed to give the children of Greenfield every opportunity to learn and succeed. I have dedicated days, evenings, and weekends to organizing for stable and affordable housing costs in Greenfield and across the state by organizing a team of individuals to collect over 75,000 signatures to get rent stabilization on the 2026 statewide ballot. I'm here today because as your Precinct 9 City Councilor, I can continue the work to keep Greenfield a place we love to live and can afford to live. Please visit my website to learn more. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Patricia Williams is next.
Good evening. My name is Patty Williams, and I am running for council for Precinct 6. I grew up in the Boston area. You may hear it in my voice on occasion. But I've been in Greenfield for the last 24 years. I spent 30 years, my background is I have 30 years being a union representative. I was with the Boston Hotel Workers, SEIU 495 in Worcester, the Massachusetts Nurses Association for a wonderful 14 years, and also worked for the non-faculty professionals at UConn. So I've represented people for a long time. I'm a strong advocate of civil rights. I have been active in 3 different mayoral campaigns in Greenfield for Al Ciano, may he rest in peace, a good man, Sheila Gilmore, and most recently, Mayor Jenny DeSordra. I am presently active with the Housing for Hope Street. As a current council member, I voted to allow the city to move towards a request for proposals process for housing, and I continue to stand by that decision. I will be voting no on November 4th. I believe that government at all levels needs to be transparent, that openness and community participation is essential to holding onto what democracy we have left. I also want to state that I've been active in the immigrants' rights movement locally, that I believe what is going on right now in this country with ICE tearing apart families is heinous, and that I am a very strong supporter of the No Kings movement. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Wondolowski is next.
Good evening, and thanks everybody for being here. It's so nice to see so many familiar and unfamiliar faces tonight. I'm Laura Wondolowski, and I am running for re-election for Precinct 8 City Council. I've been on the City Council for 2 years now, and the president for the last year, and that's been an honor, and I was really humbled by my colleagues who asked me to do that job. I first ran for City Council and got involved in Greenfield politics when the former mayor was cutting the school budget. I have 2 kids, one has already graduated but have gone through the public school system here in Greenfield, and I felt like I finally needed to step up, and after that then decided to put my name forward for the seat when Doug Mayo stepped down. I'm a single mom. I've lived here for 24 years. Is it 23? 24. Time goes by, and I really love Greenfield. And one of the things I love about Greenfield, I chose a place that had a downtown center that is walkable. But I also can be 10 minutes later, ride my bike and be in farm fields. And those are the kind of forces that are at play in Greenfield that some of my colleagues talked about, that we all really care about this community because it has both that rural component as well as a vibrant downtown that maybe doesn't feel as vibrant anymore as maybe some people think it was in the past. The things I care about and have been working towards as City Council, one is more housing choices. I've talked to so many neighbors and others knocking doors, people who are living in cars, choosing between transportation and housing, people who want to downsize but don't see any opportunities, some people who all their kids have moved out and are looking for other choices. I'm also prioritizing how we revitalize downtown. That is the beating heart of this town, and we need to look at how we can bring in more opportunities there. I have a community engagement focus. I've spent my entire career working for nonprofits, spent 11 years running a regional leadership development organization, and have seen how engaging people in community makes a tremendous difference. I also support public schools, which I mentioned, and sustainability. As a counselor, I've worked to override the school budget cuts, pass zoning ordinances to revitalize downtown and create housing opportunities, champion protections for LGBTQ rights, and work to conserve energy to save taxpayer dollars. So I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. I did want to say we have seats available at the front if you're waiting to take a seat. Lastly, we have Maisie Sibison-Alves.
Hello. Thank you. I'm Maisie Sibison-Alves. I'm running for one of the 2 open at-large seats for City Council along with Sarah. I'm running for City Council because I want to improve people's lives here in Greenfield, and I want to help Greenfield thrive. I want to live in a world where people's basic material needs are met and where people feel respected. I strongly believe that these are the conditions that foster creative ideas and cooperation in a community. We must all work toward Greenfield becoming a place where people can afford to stay. I promote building more housing for people with different needs and incomes. This will support our tax base and our schools. I support investment in strong infrastructure. I want to help grow our local economy and support jobs that provide a living wage. I support Greenfield's ongoing effort towards towards energy efficiency, and I advocate for the rights and needs of our most vulnerable residents. I see so much potential to move towards these goals with many open-minded and strategic problem solvers working for our city, people who care deeply about our future. I was born in Franklin Medical Center, and I grew up on Beach Street. After college, I moved away, living and working in big cities like Philadelphia, New York, and the Bay Area. Wherever I've lived, I've seen many social and economic struggles, and I've been directly involved in community efforts to address them. I've also carved my own path in life, and I'm not your average politician. In fact, I've never done this before. I've spent over a decade running my own business, helping people break out of old patterns and begin to align their bodies and minds with shiatsu massage therapy. And I've spent my life deeply involved in making art and supporting community art spaces. 3 years ago, I decided to move home. Is that the end? Oh, okay. 3 years ago, I decided to move home. I wanted a slower pace and a walkable downtown and a close-knit community that's still close to nature. I'm constantly thankful to have somewhere like Greenfield to come back to. I believe in its strong potential to become even better, and I'm here to be a part of it. Especially in times as urgent as these, I believe what connects us is more powerful than what divides us. Of course, we're going to disagree and have dialogue. That's part of a healthy community. I promise to help foster a social environment where we can be open to and learn from each other's ideas and treat each other with respect. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited to work together. And please come introduce yourself. I'm looking forward to getting to know you more and hearing what you care about. Thank you.
Thank you. So because we have a little time in our schedule, the candidates have agreed to answer a question, and we will go in the opposite order of how we began. I'm going to read the question, and then I'm going to say something else so you have a little time to think about it. So the question will really be simple, whether it's if you're a precinct candidate or an at-large candidate, what you see the greatest challenge facing Greenfield is for the foreseeable future. And while the candidates mull that over, I wanted to remind everyone that on Wednesday night at 4 p.m. at GCTV, on the GCTV channels, we will be co-sponsoring a forum on the ballot question. It will be virtual. You can see it on the YouTube channel for GCTV and the local Greenfield Comcast channel 115. Ashfield Town Moderator Buzz Eisenberg will serve as our moderator, and we'll have 2 sets of panelists to represent both sides of the question. So we hope you will tune in for that. If you're not able to tune in live, it will obviously be recorded and you'll be able to watch it after the fact. So now, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer this question, 1 minute or less. And we'll begin with Maisie. What you consider one of the greatest challenges either facing your precinct or at large.
Yeah, well, this question is so juicy, and it's hard to choose just one. But for me, I grew up in a household that was very concerned with issues of development in Greenfield, actually, and coming back here, I see the same, or I see development is still the #1 contentious issue in town, and people's have such strong beliefs around where, what, if any development should be made, and I think that's our biggest local challenge, and it really it's incredible the staying power that this challenge has. Yeah.
Thank you. Laura.
Oh, choosing just one is really hard, like Maisie said. I think it's affordability. I'm talking to so many people who are just struggling to keep up with rising costs. So we have a big tax burden people talk about and see it in, you open your, if you own a home, so you see your property taxes going up, and that's the backbone of what supports our city services. And because we don't have enough of a tax base, it means that the few of us who do have to spend more. Rents are going up. Because we don't have enough affordable housing available, the people who can find houses, rents through the roof. So, and they're all the people who got priced out of other communities who have come up here, and now they can't afford it here either. So we've got to figure out how we can grow our base, revitalize our downtown so that we can make this community more affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty.
Yes, I think the biggest challenge we're going to be facing is because we're dealing with federal cutbacks in terms of what the state gets. So that means locally there'll be less money coming this way. So we're dealing with a smaller budget, I think, or lessening of a budget. And how we do that, we're going to have to be extremely creative because there's so many needs that have to be covered with the town budget, city budget. So it's going to take a great deal of creativity and cooperation to make sure that we can do what we need to do with perhaps less money, which I think is going to be a major challenge for us in the very near future.
Thank you. Max?
Yes to all of that. And I think the issue that I'm most concerned about is building community. I come from Texas. I'm trans. I am a political refugee from my home state, and I can't live there anymore. And I don't think anybody in this room wants that reality for Greenfield. So I think I have a unique ability to reach across the aisle from my own side to have those difficult conversations. And I think what, as a community, we need is to be able to sit in the discomfort of knowing how to hold those conversations and different viewpoints so we can get to the places where we want to be with affordability and community closeness and development and anything else that we want to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Bolduc.
I would, excuse me, I would second what Max was saying. I think part of my interest as a student of history is that when you research history, you realize that you're kind of searching for family and belonging. And the thing is that as a city, we're already part of a community, even whether we're dysfunctional or not, and whether it looks different than we expected. We are all part of this community. We're going to tell the next story together. So I think it's a lot harder for institutions here in the city to win back the trust of a disenfranchised public. And I hear a lot about how people feel that they've not had their needs met. And I think that that contract goes both ways. I think disenfranchisement amongst the populace, I think we need to demonstrate that good things can be possible if we work together. And I think that that's only going to come from the hard work that a lot of us really want to see in each other. And I think I have a lot of hope going forward that we can put those issues to rest. Thank you.
Thank you, and Sarah Brown.
Just echoing what everyone shared so far. I feel like our biggest challenge is the federal government and the state government, and then so much responsibilities and constraints falling on the local government, and then the dysfunction ends up here, and then people are like, I don't trust the folks that are working as part of the local government, but a lot of the dysfunction is happening on higher levels. So, for example, the cuts to social safety net, like the food stamps being on hold, that's really disruptive to a lot of people's lives for food access. And also we don't have single payer healthcare, so we have rising healthcare costs, and so our city budget is not able to keep up with that. I think that's the main thing, this scarcity creating division, and hopefully we can move past that for more cooperation.
Thank you. Thank you to all these city council candidates for being here. You are free. We've ended your portion of the evening. I'd like to welcome Jeremy Thomas Ebersol and Melissa Mackenzie Webb. We'll begin with the assessor. Assessors are responsible for determining full and fair cash valuations and for classifying all property located within the community as of January 1st each year. We have Jeremy Thomas Ebersol running for assessor, and he now has 3 minutes to introduce himself to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm going to read my statement because I know if I don't, I will ramble on and on. My name, as I said, is Jeremy Ebersol, and I am privileged to be running for the Board of Assessors here in Greenfield, which I'm very excited to do. I'm running unopposed for the position, but feel like it's very important for democracy for us to show up and be a part of these conversations. And I'm fairly new to the community, and I know lots of people don't know me yet, so I'm proud to be able to be here and meet folks. My wife and my 3-year-old son purchased our first house here in Greenfield 2 years ago because of the relative affordability of the community. I say relative affordability of the community, and this amazing walkable downtown and amazing movie theater and assets that we have downtown in the community. We've since added a daughter to our family, and I'll say we have some history in the area. We actually met at the Quaker Retreat Center, Woolman Hill, just right over the border in Deerfield, and have really loved the time that we've had here in Greenfield. My background, as well as my current work, is as a historic preservationist. Prior to moving here, I served as the executive director of a preservation advocacy organization in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. When we moved to the area, it was really important for me to invest in the community, use the knowledge and the skills that I had to celebrate what makes this place so special, and of course to help make it even better. That led me to join the Historical Commission here in Greenfield last year, and then similarly to run for the Board of Assessors position now. In my role at in the Historical Commission, I've worked to improve our processes and serve as a thoughtful, measured voice in the discussions that we have regarding our historic resources and the people who care about them. I'm proud of the work the Commission has done in the last year to support win-win preservation solutions, including the, I say imperfect, but still I think laudable salvage and move of the former Colebrook Springs Baptist Church from our main street back to the community where it originated so that the YMCA can continue to do the good work that they're doing. My expertise is in understanding the value of older buildings, which of course almost all buildings in Greenfield are. I'll be the first to acknowledge that serving on the Board of Assessors is a new adventure for me, but I look forward to approaching it with the same kind of thoughtful, analytical, and compassionate lens that I approach my life with. For better or worse, I come with fresh eyes as a relative newcomer to the area, without any of the historic baggage, and with the insight of having experienced how successful communities function all over the country, yet with a really key understanding of the importance of listening to the wisdom of those with much deeper roots in the community. Ultimately, the good of the city and the good of the individual are inextricably intertwined, and I believe that our work must always remember that as we seek to strike a fair and reasoned balance in what we do. We both need money to run our city, and we need to keep cost of living manageable for residents. That balance, I think, is key. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The school committee is responsible for creating policies for the district and overseeing the development of the district budget. The Greenfield Public School Committee is made up of 7 members, including the mayor of Greenfield and 6 elected officials. Members are elected in November of every odd year and serve 4-year terms. However, we'll hear now from Melissa Mackenzie Webb, who's running for the school committee for a 2-year term.
I just want to say thank you for having me. There's been some forums, and I have 3 younger children in Greenfield Public Schools, and I can't always make things last minute, but thank you all for coming, and thank you for having me. I didn't write a speech. I'm just going to wing it. That's typically what I do best. But I'm very invested in Greenfield Public Schools. I actually started volunteering in Greenfield Public Schools when my daughter was 1 year old. I went and knocked on the doorstep of Newton and said, hey, I heard you need some volunteers here, and I'd like to volunteer. I really like our schools, and I like our teachers, and I just want to show up and support not only our teachers, but our students. And I volunteer on PTO currently. I am the PTO president, and I have been for the last 2 years. And as I said, I have 3 kids. I have a daughter at GMS, a son at Newton, and another child at AEL. So I really get to see how policies, when they're made, how they're actually implemented, and how they affect our children directly, and also how money affects our children directly. And I'm just excited to run and be part of, not only both ends of the spectrum, being able to see it and being able to be part of it, the change. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all the candidates for being willing to serve. We'll now take a short break and return with the structured forum for the 6 school committee candidates who are running for 4 seats with 4-year terms. Thank you again, and welcome back. This is the structured forum for the 6 school committee candidates who are running for 4 seats with 4-year terms. The candidates, 3, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. So even less. So yes, so we're talking about 6 school committee candidates running for 3 seats with 4-year terms. Thank you. They have been fully apprised and have agreed to the format and ground rules for this forum. For your benefit, I will give an overview. Each candidate will give a 30-second opening statement. I will then ask the candidates up to 7 questions, depending on time. Candidates will have 60 seconds to respond to the questions, and all candidates will answer the questions, all questions. We'll then conclude with 90-second closing statements. The questions were prepared in advance by League of Women Voters volunteers from questions submitted by the public via email. I will alternate the speaking order, and we are ready to begin. Welcome, candidates. We invite you to give your 30-second opening statement, and we will begin We're starting alphabetical by first name, so at the end with Adrian Roy's Craig Williams.
Hi. Hi, I'm Adrienne Craig Williams, and my pronouns are she, her. I've been an educator for the last 15 years, and I'm certified in childhood and special education in the state of New York. Currently, I'm an upper school math teacher at Stoneleigh Burnham in Greenfield. I moved here in 2023 and bought a house here last year. I love Greenfield's welcoming, inclusive community and egalitarian values. I'm running for school committee because I believe public education is the key to and cornerstone of a functioning society. Thank you.
Thank you. David Moscaritolo.
Good evening. I'm David Moscaritolo. I'm running the school committee. I've been in Greenfield for about 30 years. My wife and I love Greenfield, and we're very committed to this city. We've volunteered, both of us, for many committees, fire station. I was on the fire station committee. My wife was on the library committee, building committee. Greenfield education is really important, the most important, I think, thing that we need to talk about. And, you know, there's a lot of concerns, and I don't think the money is getting to where it needs to be, which is the children, honestly. Oh, sorry, I forgot I only had 30 seconds. Thank you.
There'll be plenty of time
Yeah,
later.
sorry about that.
That's no worries. Elizabeth Andonev.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Deneve, and I'm the current secretary of the Greenfield Public School Committee and the incumbent seeking re-election. I have served for 4 years and been on policy and budget and finance subcommittees, and I am the chair of the redistricting and community engagement subcommittee and their legislative liaison. I won the Massachusetts School Committee Member of the Year Award for 2024, and I am a Main Street business owner and a costume designer by trade. Thank you for coming tonight and participating in democracy. I look forward to continuing to serve the students, teachers, and the community members for the next 4 years.
Thank you. And Jeffrey Deitman.
Hello, I am Jeffrey Deitman. I am an educator. I've been teaching for 10 years, and I'm currently teaching at Pioneer Valley Regional School, where I teach Spanish. I live in Greenfield, where I have 2 children. And they're both planning, one is in public school, the other one's heading to public school. I care very deeply about our public schools and especially literacy, so that's kind of my pet issue. I also care very much about student engagement, which I'll be working on as well.
Thank you. And Melody Goodwin.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. My name is Melody Goodwin. Many of you have seen my name in the newspaper over the years. I have been an educator for 40 years, lived in 3 different houses in Greenfield, and was a principal of Newton School before I retired 4 years ago. So I was an administrator in Greenfield for 10 years. I started at the middle school and then went to Newton. Survived the pandemic, did a year after the pandemic, and decided it was time to retire. And I'm here tonight because somebody needs to be here who loves the children and loves the teachers of Greenfield. And I care about them, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. And Michael Toronzo.
Hello, good evening. I'm Michael Toronzo. I'm currently, pretty much a lifelong resident of Greenfield. I went to school here. My kids go to school currently. I'm currently a at-large counselor on the city council. Been so for 4 years. I've been on the finance committee for all 4 years, chaired it for 2 budget seasons, and I really think that our school finances need some help to make sure that the money's going where it belongs with the students, getting them appropriate class sizes, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Before we begin with the questions, I'd like to call your attention to the timekeepers right here in the center. They are keeping us honest. When you see the 30 seconds, that's just your warning. Doesn't mean you need to stop. It's just know that the stop is coming. When you see the stop, please finish your sentence. You don't need to stop in the middle of a sentence. But know when you reach the end of that sentence, that is the end of your answer. Thank you. And now for the questions. The candidates have 60 seconds to respond each. We will begin with David. So we'll do the same order, but this time we begin with
Sure.
David and we'll end with Adrian. The question is, the school system budget, as part of the overall city budget, typically accounts for more than 30% of the city's annual budget. How will you collaborate with the superintendent and the mayor to create an adequately funded school budget that is part of a general budget that does not result in a Proposition 2.5 override?
I think it's a great question. I think it starts with transparency. I don't think we've had transparency. And if you don't start with transparency, you don't have collaboration between the school committee and the mayor. There's a lot of fighting back and forth. So we need to have a transparent school budget. We need to know where every dime is being spent, because it's important to know that, because we want to spend most of our money on our children, on our children's program, meaning also our teachers. We spend too much money on administration. This is what I bring to every meeting. It's a square with a circle in the middle of it. The square is what we spend on administration and stuff. The circle is what we spend on teachers and children. The circle needs to be bigger than the square. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
How will you collaborate with the superintendent and the mayor? That's a great question. I would say that at this moment in time, collaboration begins in a different way. The superintendent is hired by us, and so we present goals to the superintendent. And one of the things that we have not done but need to begin to do as a school committee is to set goals for the budget, and those goals need to be given to us by you, the constituents. So that's a best practice that we need to put into place, and that is a way to start collaboration with the superintendent. The mayor will always come with cuts after the superintendent lays out their budget, so we expect that. The budget that we submit to the mayor and to the city is one that is educationally sound and guided by the superintendent. One of the ways that we can collaborate in the future is by having meetings alongside the City Council Ways and Means, inviting them to our Budget and Finance Subcommittee, and working alongside them throughout the budget process so that the system moves in a more smooth and efficient way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jeffrey.
Thank you. I think it's important to recognize that Greenfield is in a very difficult position with regard to funding the schools, and that has to do with our limited tax base, the rising costs of funding a school, in particular with the rising health insurance costs. So it is to be hoped that we will be able to get our educators out of the current healthcare provider and find a more affordable source for healthcare. It is also to be hoped that we will hire a very capable and cooperative superintendent who is going to come to the table with an open heart and with the same vision that we have, which is a vision for creating schools that are centers of excellence so that we can do better on student retention. One of the big areas where we are missing out on opportunities is that we are losing students, which means losing revenue for the schools. So what can we do in the long term to keep students in our system?
Thank you. Melody.
We need to hire a superintendent and a business manager who can identify the priorities for the community, the teachers, and the children that need to be budgeted. Right now, we've been doing the same old thing for the last 5 years with adding 3%. Instead, we need to go down to zero and rebuild. And one of the things that needs to happen is we need to look at why families are leaving Greenfield and respond to that. And we have not been doing that.
Thank you. Michael.
Yeah, I kind of echo a little bit of a lot in here, but business manager, number one, superintendent, we obviously need one. Number two, transparency from the school committee to Ways and Means. I agree with the collaboration, a better collaboration effort on that. I believe some efforts have been made in the past to get information. They've been stonewalled. I've had to live through it. You guys have probably, if you've watched, heard my frustration. Getting getting the priorities set at the early level of the school committee budget. So by that time, it can be really reviewed by the superintendent, getting the answers from the business manager that the superintendent needs. So a responsible budget can be given to the mayor, and even if there are cuts, it won't be so drastic. And then if there needed to be further cuts after that, they might need to happen. But if you start responsibly to begin with and put the money where it needs to be and put it into the programs that are going to keep kids engaged in the schools, then it will help out our enrollment as well.
Thank you. And Adrian?
Thank you. Collaboration with the mayor and the superintendent will begin with hiring the superintendent in a transparent process so we can ensure we have the same priorities. And I agree with having cross-pollination between the Ways and Means Committee and the School Committee Budget Committee, Subcommittee. And hiring the new business manager would help as well so that they can focus on our school and not be spread in all directions. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start with Elizabeth for answering this next question. There has been a lot of concern about a thorough analysis of school department spending. Would you support an audit of the school budget for the purpose of getting a better understanding of how money is being allocated and spent?
We are audited every year by the state. It is a requirement, it's a legal requirement. You can request that audit at any time. We have never received a letter admonishing us in any way for our budget process. We've been told this multiple times by our business manager. I do not think that it would be a good use of our limited school funds to pay for a third party or an objective party to do an audit. I have looked into that myself, and for a district our size, it would cost $100,000 to $120,000 to do an independent audit.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Thank you. I believe that more useful, because I would like to echo Elizabeth's point. From what I understand, we're audited every year. So I think that in order to make things more transparent and have the community feel more comfortable about the way their money is being spent, it would be more useful to hire a dedicated budget manager, as other candidates have pointed out, and make sure that that person is writing the budget in a way that regular people can understand it and read it. And so that everyone on school committee, on city council, and the community can have access to that information. I think a lot of us are very interested in more transparency around the school's finances. But I think that the best way to go about that, rather than a third-party audit, would be to hire a dedicated budget manager who's going to work with us.
Thank you. Melody?
It is my hope that we hire a superintendent who, before they will spend a single dime, will audit our books. Most quality superintendents come into a district and they do that before they touch the money, just to make sure that they are in a safe place. We currently spend $200,000 on a company to manage our money. And that's been going on for 6 years. It's time to see what's been going on.
Thank you. Michael?
I actually wouldn't put off the idea of an independent audit. It might just be the place where we start over. I think the books have been mismanaged, in my opinion, for a number of years now. And as I stated before, starting with a new business manager would be helpful. But maybe not even just so much of a financial audit, more of a kind of what was insinuated earlier was a functioning audit of how we do things here. It might be different than the cookie cutter audit that the state does across all districts. So more of an audit of what works for Greenfield. And I don't think that we've had that oversight for a number of years when it comes to looking at the money, as Melody alluded, before the money is spent.
Thank you. Adrienne?
Thank you. I support transparency in the budget process as well, and I would not oppose an independent audit if it were warranted, which is something I would have to see when I got there. But there is a difference between things not being clear and things being underhanded, and I think we should assume good faith. And as a math teacher, I hope I can explain the budget to people well. And I love the budget and the spreadsheets and the numbers, so I look forward to shedding light. Who knows?
Thank you. David?
I have a problem when I read in the paper that we're going to spend $10,000 to look into our transportation budget when we have a finance director that we pay $200,000 that should know our budget to a T. I run a very large security account, and I have to account for every dime. And if I don't, I probably wouldn't have a job. So our finance director needs to be not a consultant. And we also spend a lot of money on transportation, and we own a school bus company, and nobody can answer the questions on if that bus company is making a profit or we're not making a profit on there. So we need to know where our money is being spent, because the bottom line is our money needs to go to our children. I've talked with teachers, and they tell me they have closets full of stuff that they'll never use and that they don't use, and they don't need to spend money on. So we need to check into our finances and our money. Thank you.
Thank you. With this question, we'll begin with Jeffrey. What will you do as a school committee member to ensure a more positive and trustful relationship can be built between the school committee and the city council?
I look forward to working with City Council. I'm a very diplomatic person. I like getting along with people, and I like finding compromise. So I've heard people floating the idea of more subcommittee meetings between a certain subcommittee of City Council and a subcommittee of the school committee, and I think that that's a fantastic idea. There are a lot of opportunities for building bridges and improved understanding between those two bodies. I also hope that we can see a great deal of respect and professional regard between school committee and the mayor and the superintendent. I don't want to see anything get nasty. I think it's really important to move forward in good faith and assume the best intentions on the part of everyone involved.
Thank you. Melody?
Bravo. So one of the, I think, worst things about being on school committee is the vilifying of the mayor. A mayor who has 9 grandchildren. Her daughter-in-law is a teacher, and she runs a city with a lot of needs. Things keep falling apart in Greenfield. Look at our roads. And I think one of the things that I would like to say for myself is the belief that we're all coming to the table with a number that is good for everyone in Greenfield, including the children.
Thank you. Michael?
As has been mentioned by some other folks around, pretty much the most impact that the city council has on the schools is for the finance purpose. They obviously ask questions at reports and things like that, but really it comes down to that collaboration is between the finance. That's really the only real function city council has with them. I think by, as I said earlier, starting with a clear budget, and if the school committee is asking the right questions to begin with, so that those correct answers and explanations can be then given when there is the collaborative meetings, I think it will make it a lot easier to have like those kind of communications, and it won't seem like someone's being attacked, because a lot of that would have been cleared up in advance, and it'll make the budget process for the whole city a lot easier.
Thank you. Adrian?
Can you repeat the question? I've
You-
taken out of
yes,
my time.
And
right now.
no, that's fine. It won't eat any of your
Okay.
time, and I can repeat a question at any time for anybody. It's a long way to go from one end to the other. What will you do as a school committee member to ensure a more positive and trustful relationship can be built between the school committee and the city council?
Okay, thank you. Yes, well, I would treat everyone in the city council with respect, and also my fellow school committee members. I don't know how else I could answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
I think that's the key to this whole thing, is collaboration and working together. Currently, I'm a public safety commissioner from Greenfield, and I work with the council, and you have to work together. But you have to build trust. You have to have trust. If you go back and look at the last year's school committee meetings, there didn't seem to be much trust. And so we have to build trust together with the council, school committee, and we have to work towards a common goal. And if we do that, then we'll be successful. So it's all about trust and having common goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
This one's close to my heart because I'm the chair of the Community Engagement Subcommittee, and we actually had our very first collaborative meeting on September 15th. It took 3 months to plan this meeting, and I have to be honest, someone sitting here today tried to stop us from doing it. But we persevered, and we had our meeting, and we learned quite a lot about how the City Council Community Relations Subcommittee works, and the ways that we overlap and the things that we can do together to increase our relationships. I would say that this is a best practice that has been instituted in successful districts, and this is something that we're going to be doing regularly from now on.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Melody. School committees can play an important role in helping to guide and support school district health and safety policies, such as during a measles outbreak or a pandemic like COVID-19. Currently, all Massachusetts students, by law, must meet certain vaccination requirements to enter school unless they are eligible for an exemption. Increasingly, parents with philosophical reasons are using the religious exemption to avoid complying with school entry vaccine requirements. With rates of vaccine-preventable illnesses such as measles increasing, would you support the proposed state legislation to eliminate this exemption? Melody.
Absolutely not. Vaccines have saved my life. I'm an Army brat. I've lived all over the world. My left arm has scars. And during COVID, my doctor told me if I got COVID, I would die. And I am very grateful for that vaccine. Nurses in schools need to be careful because we get a lot of transient populations who are not necessarily vaccinated, and we are careful about making sure everybody gets the right health clearance and work with people and families to get medical care.
Thank you. Michael?
Can I ask you to repeat the end of the question?
Right. I think we can understand what Melody's point was, even if it was opposite. So right now,
They're
It's a
allowing
long
the
question.
exemption for, right.
currently, all Massachusetts students by law must meet these requirements unless they are eligible for an exemption. Parents with philosophical reasons are using this exemption to avoid complying with school entry vaccine requirements. Would you support the proposed state legislation to eliminate this exemption?
Yes, absolutely. No, I got where you were coming from. Absolutely. Public health risks. We see it everywhere. We're either going to believe some science or we're not. take Tylenol when you get a headache. Well, maybe not so much anymore. But anyway, yeah, it's not just about, I understand where people could come from with philosophical differences from it, but it's not just about you. It's about other people in the community and the other people that you could affect. We make a lot of policies out there to protect people. We have things about like peanut allergies out there to protect the other people who have allergies. I don't think anybody really gets that up in arms about that. I don't know, I used to bring a peanut butter sandwich when I was a kid, but, and I understand that this is something that people are concerned about, but the dramatic effects of just seeing what has already happened with measles coming back, it was pretty much eradicated in the United States, and the rise of that is kind of scary. I didn't live through that era, luckily, but I know some people did.
Thank you. Adrienne.
I also support ending the exemption. Vaccines are the greatest gift we've ever gotten. I think they're wonderful. And if you want to send your children to public school paid for by public money, you can't risk public health.
Thank you. David.
I also agree, with that. Being a public safety commissioner, I think we have to look at the big picture for everybody. Personally, I don't do a lot of vaccines for myself, and that's my personal thing. But my wife does. But I would not, I would want to see the whole community be safe. And I would look to making sure that we're vaccinated, and we don't want to have another COVID, and if we do, we want to be fully prepared for it, like we were in Greenfield. In this building was a model for the state, and I'm proud of all the people that worked here and supported this vaccination center. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
I am also in agreement. I support vaccination. I also understand and respect people's different points of view, but if you're going to be a part of our public school district, you are going to be around lots of teachers and lots of students, and everyone needs to be safe, including our vulnerable populations. So I do not believe that anyone should be able to utilize an exemption in order to put other people at risk.
Thank you. And Jeffrey.
Yes, I would support that legislation. I think vaccines are very important, and it sounds to me like not having this kind of legislation actually sends a certain message that there is some sort of philosophical basis for not vaccinating your kids, and I don't think that there is. There isn't a scientific basis, so there isn't, in my mind, really a philosophical basis. There might be other kinds of bases, but I wouldn't call that philosophical. Thank you.
Thank you. For this next question, Michael will answer first. Earlier this year, the school committee voted to eliminate MCAS testing and to set its high school graduation requirement benchmark at a D- for core classes. Do you support this decision? Please explain.
Absolutely. I've been waiting for this for 25 years. I was in the guinea pig class that took the MCAS test, where they said, well, this isn't going to be a graduation requirement. And they kind of put this whole thing in the beginning that said, but we'd like you to try to take it seriously. Some kids didn't. Then our scores got published. It was a little embarrassing at the time. I did great. It was wonderful. But I thought that this was a mistake from the beginning, from its inception. It handcuffs teachers to be able to do what they should be doing, which is teaching for the children that are there in their community, not teaching to some just standardized test as your only metric for graduation. And there's a lot of kids who can excel at one thing and not so much at the other. And they come out to find great careers and different paths. And if we keep it just on the core subjects that some people might struggle with one or the other, then that's not really fair to them in providing them with something to be engaged in for their future. And we'll lose a lot of people in a lot of different workforces.
Thank you. Adrienne.
Yes, I also support eliminating standardized testing for graduation requirements, and similar reasons. Not all students are correctly evaluated by them, and teachers dislike teaching to them. It is horrible to try to teach to a test, as I know. Thank you.
You bet. Earlier this year, the school committee voted to eliminate MCAS testing and to set its high school graduation requirement benchmark at a D- for core classes. Do you support this decision? Please explain.
I'm not too sure about the D- part. I don't like that part of it. But I do support getting rid of this test. My son, who's now an adult, had Asperger's, or has Asperger's. That's what we call it. They use different terms now. And he struggled through high school because of the testing. But he's a smart man, has a great job, and is living on his own because of the extra help he got from the social workers at the tech school. It had nothing to do with the tests. There's a lot of kids in that position that do better with their hands or their mind, but don't do well on tests. Thank God they're gone. That's all I could say.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Thank you. I voted to eliminate MCAS testing. I believe that the students should be required to pass their classes to graduate, and that's it. Standardized testing is not a good fit for all students. And something that people don't necessarily understand is that it takes days to prepare and take the test, and that's instruction time that students miss. So I think that what we really need to do is maybe create some new community engagement tools so that parents understand that their students are not required, and so that we can move on and work with our state legislator on exactly what the graduation requirements will be, and there's forums for that happening now.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Like the others up here, I support ending MCAS as a graduation requirement. However, I do not think that it is a good idea to do away with standards when we do away with standardized tests. That is, I'm very concerned about youth literacy right now. It is a national crisis. Our scores, for lack of a better measure, our scores in Massachusetts are declining in literacy, and I treat it as an emergency. So I think that we need to think about social promotion and think about maybe the possibility. I would like to engage in dialogue with people about the possibility of starting to hold students back in the early grades if necessary, because I see too many students in my practice as a teacher who are in 8th grade and who cannot really read. It is alarming. So that's where my emphasis is, in the earlier grades. Thanks.
Thank you. Melody?
I want the money that was invested in that testing given to the local cities, that it should come straight to us instead of go to whoever at the state level. It should be coming straight to us. Those boxes, way back in the day, as somebody who opened them and packed them, were millions of dollars. I even visited San Antonio, Texas, where this huge building was where they went to on purpose. So, and then next, I think we have an opportunity to have our kids actually, as seniors, create portfolios and sit in front of a panel of teachers and community members and demonstrate what they've learned. Some schools do capstone projects. Vermont Portfolio System, kids present what their learning is, which is, I think, more profitable for somebody who's going to go into the job force.
Thank you. To begin with this question, we'll start with Adrian. What is your opinion about having school resource officers in Greenfield schools?
Thank you. I do not believe Greenfield School should have school resource officers. I believe having a person with a gun in a school is a bad idea, period. And the evidence shows that they do not make schools safer. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
This is a tough question because I'm a public safety commissioner. And When a parent came to me 3 or 4 months ago because their child got beat up by another child in the school, and the superintendent didn't call that parent, and this was 2 or 3 weeks into the incident, and these 2 students were shipped to the emergency room. As a public safety commissioner, I have concerns about that. So school resource officer is just one thing that could make schools safer. I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm saying let's be open to how to keep our children safe. There's lots of ways to do that. There's been lots of opinions in Greenfield. But as a public safety commissioner, I brought the school resource officers to this room so the public could learn about them. It wasn't because I wanted to push it and that's what I wanted. I just brought them here to educate people that there are different ways that we could protect our children. And that's what's important to me, is protecting our children.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
This vote on SROs has come up twice since I've been on the school committee, and both times we heard resoundingly from our constituents through email and public comment that they did not want an SRO in the schools. We heard from students as well as parents. When the police chiefs came to speak to us and ask us about SROs, we were not given any actual evidence that SROs in the school system solve crime, stop crime, save kids. There is no evidence suggesting that any of that is effective. We have a restorative justice program right now in our schools, and we have not yet seen the fruits of that labor. So what we need to do is assess that situation, see how it's going, and continue on that path or figure out a new one. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
I do not support SROs in the schools. I would like to live in a world in which having a police officer in the room makes everyone feel safer all the time. I would like to live in a world where police don't make people feel afraid. Unfortunately, my own experience, because of where I grew up being afraid of police. I have to acknowledge what Elizabeth said about what the community wants. If the community doesn't want police officers in schools, I think that we have to go along with what the community wants. So no, I am not in favor of that.
Thank you. Melody?
It's a hard question because of where we stand today, but as a principal, I can tell you about the amazing police officers in this community who I have needed to help a child and to help a family. So the vote happened, and we don't have an SRO. We have a high attendance problem, and over the last month, I've knocked on a lot of doors and talked to a lot of people, some who've taken their children out of our school system, and we have a problem with bullying in our schools, in our cafeterias. People have taken their children out because they cannot seem to stop the bullying for their child. That needs to be addressed in our schools, and that isn't addressed by an SRO, but one of the things I would say to you is without an SRO, we need to look at alternatives, especially in the area of discipline.
Thank you. Michael?
This is one I've always been on the fence about. I think this is more of one of those national issues that gets brought down to the local level and sometimes overexcited. I agree with Melody in the sense that we have to do something. How the resource officer in that, I say the word officer, doesn't have to be an armed person, maybe not. There have been communities, local communities, that have had someone like that who have done wonders for a lot of children, especially in high school age, because if you get the right people in there, it's not a threat anymore. And I think that if we start young, we have more of these. My kids are in elementary school. They're not afraid of, cops and firemen and all that stuff. I think that the emergency services engagement that we have growing up is what we need to work on a little bit better to build that trust back after so much has been broken by a lot of things across the nation. But there definitely needs to be something done to assist the teaching staff and the principals with students.
Thank you. We'll begin with David for this one. This is our final question, and we will do 90 seconds for this question. It's a two-parter. As school enrollments continue to decline in Greenfield, on one hand, what do you think is the best affordable way to make use of Greenfield public school buildings that are too big for the dwindling school population? Or alternatively, what do you think Greenfield can do to retain students and attract families? And David.
I think we need, if our school population is decreasing, then we need to look at consolidating our schools. Towns around the country are doing that. It's a way to give more money to our teachers and eventually to our children. We've been wasting a lot of money in Greenfield. And the money needs to funnel back to the teachers and the children. If we have a school that is practically empty, let's look at a better way to do it. Can we bring classrooms together? We want smaller classrooms. We don't want bigger buildings, is what I'm trying to say. So we have to look at the picture. And to retain children, we just need to make our education better. We have to have a great education so people are attracted to come to Greenfield. That means better teachers, more money for our teachers, and more money for our children. Then we'll bring more people to Greenfield. I think it's a pretty simple answer.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
There are no schools that are practically empty. I just want to say that right now. One of the things that I instituted was a school tour every year, which we take with the superintendent and the city council's invited, and we assess our buildings. So we do have 6 buildings, and it may seem like those buildings aren't full, but if you take a tour, you will find that they are very old. Some of them have classrooms that are not appropriate. Some of them have hallways leading to nowhere, doors that open on nothing. These buildings need an overhaul, and we need to assess our building situation. When we talk about retaining students and families, that comes down to housing. It's also about how we retain our teachers. We have great teachers. They're doing a great job, but a lot of them do not live in Greenfield. They live in Northampton or Amherst. They commute in, and as soon as they get a job closer to home, they're going to take that. Even if they like Greenfield, even if they're happy here, they don't want to do the commute. And that's what we found through our exit interviews when teachers leave. So I would say that long-term vision, unfortunately, is we have to take advantage of state loans and look at potentially building a new elementary school for all of the kids in the next 10 to 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey.
Well, I'm going to answer the second version of that question because that's I know a whole lot more about the idea of how to improve student engagement and how to retain students. I'm currently working on that in the Pioneer Valley Regional School District where I work. Similarly, we've been struggling with declining enrollments there. To the point that it's on the brink. Like they're talking about super regionalization over there, right? I'm proud to announce that we have turned the ship around, at least in terms of sheer numbers of students. We are now flatlining instead of steadily decreasing year after year in our system. I think that one of the ways that we've started to turn things around is through just a systematic overhaul of the way we approach our PD and finally having some continuity in our administration. So now for the first time, we've got a principal who was also here last year. So what we need is students who are excited to come to school because they are capable of doing the work at school. The students who are dropping out of school, either they're going to the tech school or they're dropping out, it's because they can't really read and they're miserable doing academic work. So they think they can go to the tech school and do a whole lot less academic work. So we're gonna hang on to a lot of those students if we can catch it early and teach them better how to read.
Thank you. Melody?
This goes back to starting from zero, looking at our priorities and looking at our resources. Our buildings are resources. We built a $66 million high school. We're still paying $1.8 million a year. We have to look at our buildings. We need to talk to families. I spent a year on a STAR committee when Superintendent Harper was here, and all the elementary school parents were really clear they wanted their small neighborhood schools. And if you start asking parents who have choiced out, they're choosing even smaller than Greenfield. People are going to Conway. People are going to class sizes of 13. They want a small environment for their children. I think we have to give this some time and hopefully look at why people are choicing out and maybe resolving some of the problems so people hopefully will return.
Thank you. Michael?
Well, some things we can't help. We can't have people just want to make more children. So this is not just a local problem, right? This is happening pretty much everywhere. But I think that we do have to look at consolidation with what we have, and if we have to, I don't know, move other town services into one of the buildings that we could, we do so. I definitely think that the 5th grade needs to go back to the elementary school. That is a key promise that was made here 8-10 years ago and just didn't happen. But the engagement part is going to start with, as Jeffrey alluded to, smaller class sizes with reading, getting them comprehension at the smaller class sizes. When they're starting out in kindergarten with 20 plus kids, that's a problem. I brought that up last year. Luckily, it got kind of taken care of for the time being. But right now, I know there's class sizes still in elementary that are over 20 for some of the grades. And that's just going to keep going up. So it starts with a budget. It starts with doing the responsible spending. And it starts with bringing back some of the extra, not just the core subjects, more of the extras that used to be in the schools. That's what keeps kids engaged. That's what keeps them there as they grow up through middle school and high school. Yes, sports work. Yes, luckily we still pretty much have music, not to the same degree, but we've lost some of those extras that keep people engaged or kids engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. And Adrienne?
Thank you. Yes, I'll also answer the second version of the question. One thing we can do to attract and keep families is to have more public-facing school committee information sessions, like what are families needing that they're not getting, or what are we offering that they don't like. And we should also retain educators with PD that is teacher-led and teacher-chosen and not necessarily imposed. Teachers usually know what kind of PD they need and want. That would help them teach better. And the more autonomy you have in the classroom, the more likely you are to keep working at that job. Also housing, we need more housing in Greenfield. And also, I don't think we should be afraid to spend more money. This is not everyone's favorite thing to do, but we should take advantage of every loan and grant. If we get the new business manager who can focus on our school district, we will spend less money on that, and we'll have a lot more time for grant writing because it'll only be focused on our schools. But the money that we put into public schools come back to communities triple, quadruple, many times over. There's nothing more important than our children, and we can't be afraid to spend more money.
Thank you. So we'll finish with our 90-second closing statements, and that will actually go in the opposite order of how we began. So Michael Toronzo will go, and then it will be Melody, and then Jeffrey, and then heading backwards that way. So Michael, you may begin.
Okay. Well, I'm looking to help. I'm looking to help with finances. pretty good at it. Wanting to listen to what the community wants, but also there are times where you have to structure it about what the community needs as well. And it's not, though the focus is on the children, the focus is also on what we can't afford, realistically what we can't afford. And we need to continue to advocate for more money from the state, always, always, always push. But there's a limit, there's a ceiling, and we have to be able to do what we can with that ceiling. We can't tax out people and make them move out of the district because they can't afford to live here. So that's where I'm saying we got to be more clever with the way that and responsible with the way that we spend the money that we do have for the schools. We don't want to have to cut from every other department. I think we all can agree education's a primary, focus of running a community. But we can't do that at the detriment of everything else that keeps things working in our society. I can't harp small class sizes, the retaining of good staff with good pay, with good contracts. It's sad to see some of these teachers who are here for like a year or two or whatever, but we need that stability. And I think it all starts with the budget and starting to know what we really, really need for our community.
Thank you. Melody?
We need to do better for our children. That includes small class sizes, bringing back the arts, bringing back the gardening, putting the green back in Greenfield public schools. The fact that there's no gardening at the Discovery School is just making me absolutely nutty. So the Discovery needs to be put back in our schools. The play needs to be put back in our schools. And online, and different people ask me, well, how do we do that? Because that's going to cost money. Well, I am also the angry taxpayer of Greenfield. And so you look at the things that don't impact the children. We have $3.5 million on administrators for 1,340 kids. Think about that. So there's a lot of, I call it fluff in our budget, and so we have to really start at zero and build from our priorities, and our children have to come first.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
I would like to see Greenfield Public Schools become centers of excellence. I think that is possible. I think that we have the human potential. We have the will. We do not have tons of money. So that's one of the areas where we're going to have to figure out what works and what doesn't. I've been looking a great deal at the results coming from Mississippi. Have you heard of the Mississippi Miracle? Yes, Mississippi has improved its fourth grade literacy rate. It's gone from 49th in the nation to the top 20 in 10 years. And they did it on the cheap because it's Mississippi. They're not rich either. So I'm really interested in looking at the concrete methods that they used in places like Mississippi and other states that have followed suit, like Louisiana. What did they do? What have we done that overlaps with what they have done, which is several things, actually, including curriculum. I think we're doing great on curriculum. And then take a good hard look at what else we could be doing. And then I'm interested in convening community panels, maybe creating a literacy task force involving community members, educators, and representatives of school committee to get this done. That's going to be the main issue you're going to hear from me about all the time going forward. Whether or not I'm elected to school committee, I'm not going to stop talking about literacy. Let's get the kids reading, folks.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Thank you. I would like to just correct a few things. We're in year 3 of 5 of our strategic plan, and because of our plan, we have actually increased our attendance rate by 20% since its implementation. So it's important that we see through to the end of our strategic plan and then revisit it to see the improvements that we have made and the path that we need to choose to go forward. We also need to hire a superintendent who's aligned with our mission and goals, one that's excited about Greenfield and ready to be here more permanently. We also need to hire a new full-time business manager who can write grants and deliver the budget in a more transparent and accessible way. I'm also excited to support housing and continue to increase wages during contract negotiations so that teachers and staff can stay in Greenfield. I'd also like to create new policies to allow a non-voting student representative to participate in our committee process. Currently, we receive student reports, but we don't receive any advisory reports from them. We also need to have well-defined goals for the budget based on constituent feedback and hold long listening sessions to engage the public. I've really enjoyed working for 4 years for all of you, and I look forward to doing 4 more years. So thank you very much for coming and for asking these wonderful questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And David?
And yes, thank you for being here tonight and taking the time out. I think for me, I'd like to see smaller class sizes in the elementary schools. I'd like to see our reading and writing improve. It hasn't really improved that much in the last 10 years. Why is that? I think we need to invest in teaching assistants, in reading assistants, and teachers that specialize in reading. We have the money. Right now, we have $5 million sitting in a bank account. Let's spend it on our kids. Transparency is very important. That's where the budget starts. We need a superintendent that has some finance experience. It's great to have experience with children. It's great to know all about children, but we need a superintendent. The superintendent is not a teacher. We need somebody that has finance experience, but also can understand what the kids need for education. We need engagement with our teachers. Where is the engagement with our teachers? We need to find out what our teachers want, what they need, and what they think is going to help our children. I've heard from teachers, I've heard from some of the teachers saying, we have closets full of stuff that we've spent money on that isn't being used, that needs to be thrown out. So let's engage our teachers more. But basically, it comes down to transparency. If we don't have transparency, the schools are going to continue the way they are forever, and we need to have transparency first. Thank you.
Thank you. And Adrienne?
Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters and the Precinct 7 Neighbors Network for hosting this forum, and thank you all for being here. I'm running for office because I believe people with my values should be part of the city government. I value honesty, diversity, and collective liberation. Public money should be used for education, housing, and public transportation. Trans students, queer students, immigrant students, Black students, and students from other marginalized backgrounds should both feel and be safe in our schools. Teachers' voices should be prioritized because their working conditions are our students' learning conditions. The slate I'm running with has built our campaign based on shared values, cooperation, and with the children's experiences in Greenfield schools as our guide. We have shown we can work together harmoniously and productively. The school committee is about working together on the shared project of educating the children of Greenfield, so you should vote for us next Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates. We wish you the best of luck in the election, which is next Tuesday, November 4th. The deadline to register to vote has already passed. You can check your registration on the Secretary of State's website. Hopefully everyone here who is so engaged is also indeed registered. Thank you again for joining us. You've been a marvelously respectful audience. We thank Precinct 7 Neighbors Network for being our partners in organizing this, and we thank GCTV for helping us record this to make it available to everyone else. Again, reminder, this Wednesday at 4 p.m., we are live streaming a virtual forum on the Hope Street lot ballot question. Again, Nashville Town Moderator Buzz Eisenberg will moderate, and we'll have 2 sets of panelists who will represent both sides of the question. The live stream happens at 4 p.m. You can see it on the GCTV YouTube channel, and it will be broadcast on local Greenfield Comcast Channel 15, and it will be available on demand as well. Thank you. Don't forget to vote.